UCS Sandcrawler. It is at 75059 for 14 and up with 3,296 pieces. This was released in 2014, and I'll explain to you how I got it. Essentially, me and my friend Mike, shout out to you, did a trade where I gave him the UCS TIE Interceptor and UCS Gunship. So yeah, unfortunately, we had to retire the UCS Gunship from the channel, mainly because of space. I explained that in my video. So yeah, but we need to welcome the UCS Sandcrawler. Here's the top of the box. You got the dimensions of the set, as well as all the figures you get. You get 4 Jawas, a Gonk droid, a Treadwell droid, a Luke Skywalker, Uncle Owen, C-3PO, R2-D2, R5-D4, an R2 unit, and a R1 series droid. Here's the one side of the box. Here's the other side of the box. Finally, here's the back of the box. It looks so fun. And by the way, all these are pictures. These are all physical versions of the set. These are not renders. By the way, we cannot forget the exclusive building instructions included with the set, because every LEGO set ever has exclusive building instructions, meaning that this instruction manual cannot come in any other set ever. By the way, look at all these fun still images that they would not put on modern day UCS sets. Also, all of these are pictures. These are all physical pictures of the set. This is before they did renders. But yeah, without any further delay, let's get on to the review of the UCS Sandcrawler. Starting off with the figures, you get 14 in the set. The 2 human characters you get is Luke Skywalker and Uncle Owen. Not a big fan of Uncle Owen's leg printing, honestly. And tell me Luke Skywalker is not mewing right now. There's Luke's second face. Uncle Owen does not get a second face. Finally, here's the back of these characters. You also get 4 Jawas in the set, and if you look at their torsos, there are actually 2 variations of them. Here's what the backs look like. Here we have the classic duo of C-3PO and R2-D2. And here are their backs. Here are the rest of the characters in the set. It's a bunch of droids. We have a Gonk droid, a Treadwell droid, an R1 series droid, R5-D4, an R2 unit, and whatever the hell this guy is. Now, with the Treadwell droid, you can actually spin its arms, and believe it or not, this is actually in the brand new LEGO Star Wars 2025 Advent Calendar. Here's the backs or different angles of all of the droids. Now we actually have an extra little build here. Is like a Jawa cart where you can take a Jawa and you can put one right here, and then you can also take an R2 unit or any other droid and you can put them right there, and you can also slide them around like this because it has a couple inverted tiles on the bottom. And you are able to put this guy inside of the Sandcrawler, which, by the way, let's get on to the review of the actual Sandcrawler. Finally built, the Sandcrawler looks fantastic. It is really, really big and looks pretty good for when it was made in 2014. And it is pretty sizable. Here it is compared to Mewing Skywalker. And I want to mention right away that this came at an age where brown and dark red were prone to cracking over time, as you can see here and right there. And that happened quite a few times actually while building the set. So you just gotta be careful when building older sets like this, or the UCS Slave one, where the pieces are just gonna break on you because they're older. Now luckily in today's age, they have fixed this problem. However, just be careful if you are getting older sets like this one, or the UCS Slave one, or any older set like that, because these pieces will crack on you. But let's finally get on to the Sandcrawler itself. It is pretty studded, I will say, but that's not really a detractor to me. However, some people don't really like the studded look. However, I don't really mind. We have some greebling here and there. We have some sticker detail. And by the way, stickers on these older models are not labeled, so you just have to kind of guess. Down here we have a ladder that you can flip down. Here we have a little bit of storage where if you open these up, out will come a couple crates and barrels like that. And they're on some like cheese slopes, so it will be easier for them to fall out on their own. And to reload, all you gotta do is put them in and then close it up. Right here is a little door. I will show you what that does in just a second. Up here we have great detailing, some great greebling. I'll show you what that knob does in a second. More greebling over here, and right here is one of the pieces that did break on me. At the back here, we have some really, really nice detailing greebling. It looks fantastic. Here we have more good sticker detailing, and this piece are not supposed to be there. I put them there because these 2 pieces cracked, and I wanted to polish it up a little bit. Now what this knob does is it moves the treads left and right, and it's very, very smooth. Speaking of the treads, they are menacing and by far the most annoying building part of this entire build. So just buyer beware. It is a very, very long and boring and very annoying building part. The treads specifically, because you have to build like 8 of them and they're like chains of like 100 something. So just beware. And I will say that rolling this guy is really smooth. It's nice and it's so heavy that the treads actually move, which is great. And of course, when you turn this knob here, it will turn left and right, which is absolutely great. It's very smooth. Here's what the front door looks like. It's pretty nice looking. It's pretty studded though. Now that knob I showed you earlier, here is what it does. If you turn the knob, what it will do is it will actually open the door, which is great. And the door is actually held by these chains right there. Now, like I said earlier, you can take the Jawa cart and you can actually back it in to the Sandcrawler, which is nice. It's got its own little station right there, and you can just put it in like that. Now, something else you can do is pull this out and you can expose a little hook. First of all, you can move this up and down, but if you turn this knob, it will actually make the hook even longer, which is pretty cool. Now, in this area, we have some trans yellow pieces that represent the cockpit. But if you open this entire section, you actually have full access to the cockpit. Now, while it's not too big, you do have plenty of standing room for Jawas. You have some nice sticker detailing representing some control panels, as well as a very good looking sticker of C-3PO walking through Tatooine. And that's not all the interior this guy has. If you take off this panel and this panel, you have access to the full interior. And you can raise this panel and this panel to have even more access. And you can do the same thing on the other side. First thing that is noticeable is this hook right here. You can move left and right. You can also move up and down, and you can make it really, really big. And you can actually make the hook even longer by moving this little knob. Now you might have to push on it just a little bit, but that is fine. Now what you're supposed to do is take one of these claws or tubes, put it on the hook, and then you can hook a droid. To clarify, these two are for the droids. This one is actually for something else. Now what you can do is you can take the claw right here, you can hook it up like that, and then you can hook one of the droids up, and eventually what you can do is you will be able to drop him into the Sandcrawler. Now this claw right here is basically the same thing, but with the crates. Basically what you can do with this one is you can just go like this, and it will basically be able to hold the crates in place. Now let's say you use one of the hooks, where do you put the other ones? Well, right back here, you have a spot right there. The one for the crates can go on the bottom, and the ones for the droids can go on the top hooks right there. Now another thing you can do with the crates is take the little guy, I don't know his name, and you can dump his pieces into the crate, and then you can take the crates and you can put them through the doors I mentioned earlier. Here's a better look at what the inside looks like. You have the space for the little Jawa cart. We have spaces for some crates. Of course, that is how the little crate can go in there with these little tracks right there. And then here is what the back looks like with the light on. Also right here, we have a little ladder that can drop down for the Jawas. Finally, here's the other side of the Sandcrawler. Now let's get on to the closing notes of the UCS Sandcrawler. So overall, what do I think of the UCS Sandcrawler? I think it's great. I think it's like the first of its kind. What I mean by that is like it's the first UCS set to really incorporate an interior and playability to it. We see that a lot more nowadays with like AT-AT and Jabba Sail Barge. However, this was like the first of its kind, I believe. Also, I think it's like the only UCS set to not include a display plaque. But overall, it's a very fun set. Of course, the brittle brown is a thing that you just need to be aware of. And also, some of the figures, like the Luke Skywalker mewing face, is subpar. But overall, I think this is a very fun set. I give it about an 8.5 out of 10. Some of the features can be a bit annoying at times, but overall, it is a pretty solid set. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Subscribe for more. Hope you all had a great May 4th, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.